not gonna feel hungry. Should I still have that beer?
It's 7 a.m. in the morning.
Damn,
Obviously,
it's
7 a.m.
7 a.m.
That is a Taylor Swift quote, everyone.
Hey.
Good morning.
Welcome to Beer Christianity. My name is Jonty.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Malky.
Hey, so
Hey!
enthusiastic.
Guys, what time is it?
7:35 by my watch.
In the morning. It's 7:35 in the morning. There's a story behind this. And Laura, do you want to tell the nice people what the story is? Why are we here?
Well, we basically got our times wrong. So we always record 7 p.m. on the dot every single time, and then for some reason collectively we all put the wrong time into our calendars. We all hopped on at 7 a.m. and then we were like, shit. And then we talked about it for 35 minutes. And then we just were like, oh, we should put it on the record.
So what actually happened is that we were going to talk to somebody in New Zealand about AI, a kind of big expert from the tech industry who's been in the industry for a long time and who kindly agreed to take some time out of their working day. And I was convinced the calendar app meant that we should be talking at 7 a.m., but I think in retrospect it might be 7 p.m., which means they would have to get up at 7 a.m. and drink a beer. I have a beer. I'm not going to drink it on this one, but yeah. But we thought we'd talk about something else instead. Yeah, but it is.
We're all here.
It is early. It's really early. And I thought what we would talk about is Malky and I went on the March for Gaza last weekend. I mean, there's been a march every Saturday. There's going to be another one this coming Saturday. But yeah, we went on the march and well, let me play the clip that we recorded while we were there. Hang on.
Melks. Where are we, Malky?
We're in London at a march for Palestine.
I don't know if you can tell, but we are in fact at a march for Palestine in solidarity with Gaza and Palestine. We're walking past the Ritz. All of these protests always goes past the Ritz. I don't know why. What's the vibe been like, dude?
Really fun and chill, and just a lot of chanting and clapping and whooping, and family friendly also.
Oh yeah, man! Like so many push chairs and prams and strollers and stuff. Very cool, and a good mixture of people. Like we've seen some university unions and
the Quakers.
Yeah. War on Want, a whole bunch of Jewish groups we saw at the beginning of the thing, like loads of them, Na'amad and various Jewish labor movements and all those sorts of stuff. Like, and we've got the various chants. And Malky, I mean, you came for two reasons. First of all, solidarity with the Palestinian people, and secondly,
to prove a point to the listeners, that I'm not just ducking out on the cause.
And that you're better than?
Oh, Laura. Specifically Laura, yeah.
This is good. This is a good protest. Also, we're here also because at some point somebody's going to say some bullshit about, oh, yeah, no, this was a horrific, anti-Semitic terrorist protest. But we have seen absolutely none of that. We've seen a lot of Jewish people who are very much in support of it. We've heard chants like, yes to Judaism, no to Zionism. Yeah, just all very good stuff. And good vibes, right?
Yeah, just peace and love. It's, taking a toll on our legs. Jonty's back, but...
Yeah, I think there's always that thing of like, oh, you guys do this kind of stuff because you think it's cool and you do it just for the crack and all that kind of stuff. I want to say I hate doing this. I would never normally walk this far anywhere and for any reason. My back is absolutely killing me. I really need a wee. But it's like you have to do it, man. You have to be here.
So that's what we recorded while we were there, and we recorded very little else because we are journalists.
Good job.
But Malky, yeah, what did you think of it? How did it compare to other marches you've been on?
Oh man. Well, first of all, yeah, that's shaming because the other matches I've been on were many, many years ago. But yeah, actually, yeah. So we were chatting about previous occasions. So we went on an anti-austerity march, which would have been like, don't know, 2012 or something.
Under Cameron for sure.
Yes. So yeah, I think I've been to three big marches like that in London. Once was the Occupy one where I got kettled for several hours, and the one before that was the anti-austerity one, where there were people all like they looked like ninjas. You know, they had all the black gear on,
Black bloc,
and there was some vandalism, fancy shops smashed up and windows turned in, banks as well. And I think that ended. We left before it got crazy. But there was some incidents with the police in that one. So yeah, by contrast, this one was super chill. And I think the BBC were saying that I think the lowest estimates were that there was 100,000 people out, and there was one arrest.
oh, for what?
I don't know, but like just having 100,000 people gathered, you're going to get more than one arrest. Like,
Yeah.
get 100,000 football fans. It would be like that were just out for, for a laugh. So that's quite incredible.
And
But
that's
yeah, it was interesting then, seeing some of the reporting afterwards.
yeah. Well, what was the reporting afterwards like?
So I think decent, but then it's kind of coming through the filter of Twitter. So you see the more extreme views, but there were folks kind of finding the odd banners or placards that would one supporting Hamas, and what else? I think just kind of choosing to interpret chants in a certain way.
Yeah, there's the chant from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which people on the kind of Israeli side have often said, refers to wiping Israel and Israelis off the map, and killing every Jewish person and whatever, which is, I mean, I've heard that chant so many times, and it has never been what I thought it meant. I thought it meant it will be free in the same way that we said South Africa would be free, when they were still struggling against apartheid. Like, they weren't going, South Africa will be free of white people. That was not the chant. It would be a weird thing for white people to chant. So yeah, kind of odd that gets interpreted that way. But also, yeah, I mean, I think at any gathering of 100,000 people, you're going to have some stuff that you just, I don't buy that. I didn't love one or two placards that were comparing Netanyahu to Hitler. I was like, that's not cool. That just seems spectacularly, bad taste, which, there are worse crimes than bad taste, obviously. But yeah, just quite insensitive to the collective trauma of Jewish people to compare. I just think, if we're doing this activism thing, and I don't want to tell other people how to, liberate themselves or any of that kind of stuff, but myself, I don't think I could go there and compare a Jewish person to a Nazi. I just think that's wrong. But we can talk about genocide. A lot of people have made the point that Gaza is not an open air prison, because a prison is where you send people who are guilty of a crime. Gaza is, in fact, what many people are saying is a concentration camp. Again, I'm so nervous about saying that just because of the connotations it has with the Third Reich, even though the British invented concentration camps in my country, in South Africa, during the Anglo-Boer War. So, but yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff where I think there's probably some nuance to be had, and some, just probably some sensitivity. And I guess that for me is the thing, is if we're going to be speaking out on behalf of Palestine, or speaking out in support of Palestine, not on behalf of Palestine, because we're not Palestinians, I think we just need to be super aware of what we're kind of supporting and applauding and what we ourselves are saying, because again, anti-Semitism is some bullshit, and being insensitive about the Holocaust is some bullshit as well. And we will not, this is not a podcast that will tolerate that sort of stuff. And we're not people who are okay with that. Like, we are, to be clear, very anti-Semitic. So that is, we are against anti-Semitism, just in case that becomes a fucking clip. We're anti. We are anti. Like, we're post-evangelical. Yeah, we are not. We don't like anti-Semitism. We don't like Islamophobia. We don't like racism against Arab people. It is all.
No, we don't like racism against Arab people. To again make that super clear.
Okay, right. Not we don't like racism.
Between we don't like racism.
Also, we had a lovely message from Ehab from the Amriki's podcast, who said that he liked the one that Laura and I did about Israel-Palestine and about what's happening in Gaza. Not Malky. I love the beef that's been created between you two. One of you was on the episode. One of you went to the march. Now it's which one is it? It's fight to the death. It's Hunger Games time. Okay, so awkwardly at this point, I was going to play a bit of Ahab's message because it was just so beautiful and so nice to hear from him, even though obviously this is a very tough time for him. And I got totally sidetracked by the joke about Malky and Laura's little rivalry, and I totally forgot to put it in. So this is me recording after we recorded to say, hey, here's that clip. So I'm just going to play that to you now quickly.
Hello, friends. Just wanted to drop in and say hi. And say thank you for the wonderful episode that I just heard, recorded by Laura and Jonty. I really, really appreciate you guys being here, being there for Palestinians, speaking up, being unapologetically consistent with your morals and your compassion and with your I think that the conversation was very productive. I learned a lot. It's something that I, at this difficult time, am kind of looking for. There's obviously a lot of anger, including anger from me, about this, but I'm having a hard time knowing how to say things and how to say what I want to say. And I've actually really benefited from the level-headedness and the consistency that I heard in the episode. So I really, really thank you. I consider you true brothers and sisters, true allies. Thank you so much, everyone. And we're recording something. Sorry, I'm editing something that will be released very soon. Hopefully, you'll get a chance to listen to it once it comes out. All right, be well, friends. Bye-bye.
That was our friend Ehab from the Amriki's podcast. Do go and give them a listen if you never have, and go and listen to the episode where we talk to him about Muslim and Christian similarities growing up and going to college and all that kind of stuff. It's a cool episode. Ehab is Palestinian, and obviously it's an incredibly difficult time for him. But he took the time out to listen to our show and also to just send that little message of encouragement, which is good because so many people are being silenced. So, yeah, that was cool. Okay, but there was some stuff in the news about people who have expressed support for Palestine and have lost their jobs. And what I find really interesting is that the people who are usually so anti-cancel culture and who shout a lot about cancel culture have been surprisingly quiet about cancel culture now that people have started losing their jobs for being pro-Palestine. Malky, have you heard of any?
So there was a train conductor on the tube who led the Free Palestine chant and was basically saying, sorry, I can't be there today, guys, but crack on.
And I mean, what he actually chanted was free.
Free,
That's what he said. And then the crowd said Palestine. So he literally just said the word free and has been suspended from his job.
Yeah.
Just normal democracy things.
So that was on the day of the march. So yeah, the tube was packed with the vast majority of people were attending the march. But I also want to be the guy who's like taking each case as it comes, and genuinely trying to be balanced. Because I have friends who are on the other side of the debate. That just feels icky, doesn't it? But coming from different perspectives, then it has challenged me to genuinely be look out for my blind spots and look out for the plank in my eye and all that challenging stuff that I feel I get from Richard Rohr. And
I think that's what Jesus would want. That he would want, when you're saying genocide is wrong, for you to look at your own faults. That's important.
Yeah. What about the genocide I'm doing?
Yeah, exactly. Why? I think if you could stop genociding, that'd be great.
We'd really appreciate it, Malky.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
We've been meaning to talk to you about that.
So personally, in terms of the views I'm expressing, or am I applying a double standard to, am I like, oh, this guy, the cancel culture, for example, one of my people's being cancelled, so I'm up in arms. But then, if a right winger gets cancelled, then I'm like, meh, whereas I would like to be the sort of person who takes each instance on merit and look at the facts of the case.
It's the principles that we apply to us. And this is what I keep thinking, is that I think kind of liberalism as it's evolved in kind of Western democratic societies has been very much like, well, we can't talk about the content. We can't talk about whose side you're on and make that the measure of whether something is okay or not. So we're going to have to talk about, like, is it okay to say certain types of things without actually picking the content? Is it okay to do certain types of things? So you end up having this weird conversation where you want to apply those standards, like you're saying, Malky, of like, well, if a right winger was cancelled, we tend to go fuck around and find out. And actually, that's hypocritical. And I'm going to say, no. I'm going to say, if you say racist shit, I want you to be fired, and I don't care. Like I will cheer that. Should that be enshrined in law? I don't know. That, I'm still enough of a liberal to go, well, at what point do you draw the line?
I don't think it's about like law necessarily. I think the thing that you find often with like social media platforms is like when people are crying, rah, free speech, rah, 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 rah. Like social media platforms, like when you're on using a platform that's created by an organization, like a company, they in a lot of times have to have terms and conditions and like things that you like, policies about what can and it's their right to police their own platform in terms of what they can and cannot say. So when people are being like kicked off platforms for saying racist shit and then they're getting mad about it, like that is within the rights of the company to do that. It's when it doesn't go both ways sometimes. You get like the whole Gary Lineker saying stuff about the Tory government and almost losing his job, but nobody's batted an eye about Alan Sugar going off about immigrants on Twitter. It's when things are not done in the same way, and
I think the balance is always on the side of the right, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem.
But I think when you come to the platform thing, it makes me nervous to have things that are kind of essential to life now. We're expected to be on social media platforms. It's not something that is much of a choice anymore. Or at least it's so ubiquitous and so a place where ideas are shared and all that kind of stuff. Actually, going to Facebook jail is kind of a big deal. And for me, my concern is always they're going to just class it as extremism, which means they will take the middle of the political discourse as it stands currently, and they will term that the norm, and then define how extreme you are by how far away from that norm you are. And we're in a situation currently where things that Ronald Reagan one of the most right-wing presidents in US history, and somebody who did more to make the world right-wing than almost anybody on the planet in history. Quotes from him now would be called socialism by the Republican Party. That's how right we've drifted. So when they say extremism, like Jeremy Corbyn was called an extremist and he's a social democrat. My communist friends online are continually getting banned or silenced or whatever because, oh, extremism. And what they're calling for is that everybody should be able to eat and that billionaires shouldn't have everything. do you know what I mean? Like there is a difference between that and going, there's a massive Jewish conspiracy to control the world or black people are inferior. Do you know what I mean? Like that, like for me, I still think there is a weakness in liberalism because it refuses to engage with the content except on certain things, like pick a side. I think this is the thing is we've got, especially a lot of us middle-class liberals have got to this point where we've taken that into our souls and gone, yes, being a good person means being unbiased, or being a good person means, embracing the free speech of other people. And I think that's true sometimes, but I think sometimes it's equally true that you should stand up against specific content, and I mean the content of belief or the content of what people are saying, like.
Yeah. And does it also cut across like a kind of simplistic understanding of identity politics, where you'll have, someone from a Jewish group or a Jewish person. I saw someone talking about how the march made them feel deeply uncomfortable and afraid, and I think that's what I'm talking about in terms of trying to not. I have a tendency to go very binary and one side on things. So I'm just really keen to always hear those voices and hear them out and go like, anti-Semitism is real. There's been rises of attacks, etc. And also I think it's been helpful to be brought up in the Christian world and understand the Christian world, because I know there's a vast difference between someone from, a very Steve Chalk from Oasis, Christian commentator says X, or Christian concern says X. You can't simply say, oh, this is the Christian viewpoint. So I think that's really helpful. And as you say, there was Jewish groups at the march. There's loads of Jewish voices within Israel who are, anti the war, anti the bombardment. Not loud ones, because you will get severely punished. But
they're doing it. Hey, breaking the silence. If you are looking for people to follow, Jewish Voice for Peace, Na'amod in the UK are great Jewish voices. Kind of internationally, Jewish Voice for Peace is American, I think. And then you've got Breaking the Silence in Israel is former IDF soldiers talking about what they did during the occupation, and they have been. And again, all of these groups are saying we are grieving, we are shocked. There's a real trauma to a group that whose parents and grandparents experienced the Holocaust or the Shoah, and then they see an attack on Jewish people. It was an attack on Israel, but all the people who were victims of it were Jewish, and the trauma that brings up just as an identity is horrific. And yet these people are saying we will not have our pain and our grief weaponized to justify genocide, to justify ethnic cleansing, to justify collective punishment and war crimes. And it's just incredibly brave in a state that is, currently arming settlers and encouraging violence against Palestinian civilians by essentially Israeli civilians. It's like it's a brave thing to stand up and speak. I also think one of the other cases that I saw about somebody losing their job was an editor of an open source journal, I think a scientific journal or some kind of academic journal, who had posted a thing from The Onion, that I thought was brilliant, which was, funny, but also horrific, obviously, as a lot of satire is. that said, dying Palestinians criticized for not condemning Hamas with their dying breaths. And he posted that and said, and he's Jewish. He posted it and said, when the Onion is doing better than most of our mainstream journalism, la, 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 la. And he fired. He lost his job for that, for literally just expressing an opinion on a geopolitical issue. And this is, again, like, by liberalism's own rules. What? That's not, he's not being anti-Semitic. He's not supporting terrorism. He's literally posting a satirical thing and saying, I think these guys are making a very good point. And yet the backlash that he faced was terrible, and he's lost his job. And the Onion, a day or two later, posted a thing saying, report, share this image of Netanyahu smiling to get your job back.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just a bit crazy, eh? Yeah. Like, it's yeah. But anyway, this was just meant to be a short thing, and I think we're now well over 20 minutes. But if you have a chance to go to a march for Palestine, if you have a chance to share something on your socials, I'm seeing more and more people. I know it's hard. I know it's scary because you're going to face a lot of pressure and backlash from people, and if you're not like deeply steeped in what's going on, you may feel like you don't have the words to, I don't know, to argue if people want to come at you, or you don't have the space or whatever. I would just say you're probably going to feel better about having said something, even shared something on social media, used whatever way that you can to express that you're not okay with what's going on. I think you'll feel better about it later. I think future you will thank you. And if you do feel like you can, go and just be present at one of the marches to show that, you know, you stand against apartheid, or you stand against genocide, at least, you know. Anyway, those would be the things that I would ask that people of good conscience would do, and pray for Palestine, pray for the Palestinian liberation struggle and solidarity struggle. Pray that we don't have, I haven't actually checked the results of, there's going to be an this is one final thing to talk about, I'm sorry. A bill was going to be voted on yesterday in UK Parliament. Parliament, was it House of Lords? Anyway, it was the anti-boycott bill. It was brought in specifically to stop anti-Israel boycotts, and it would make it impossible for public bodies to have a "we don't buy our tech or our coffee or our oranges or whatever" from Israel or Israeli settlements, even though, you know, one of those things is definitely illegal under international law, and we have, you know, boycotts and sanctions and stuff against a number of countries. Essentially, you would have to fall in line with the Foreign Office policy and British foreign policy, and you would not be able to boycott Israel if it passes. That's insane in a liberal country. That's insane in a country that calls itself free. And for me,
would that kind of legislation have meant that people wouldn't have been able to boycott South Africa in the past?
Yeah,
for example.
Yeah, it would. It just blows my mind, the doublespeak and the hypocrisy, because again and again we hear people saying, you know, if you have a problem with the way you're treated, it's fine to speak out, but violence is not the answer, and we cannot respect you because you use violence. Yeah. Now, I've heard a lot of BLM people and a lot of people who are speaking on behalf of the liberation of indigenous peoples say, when was anyone ever liberated without using force? And wherever you stand on that argument, okay, that's, you know, that's fine. But what's actually happening is you're taking away, like, boycotting, disinvestment, and sanctions are the most powerful, non-violent forms of pushing back against something that is unjust. Like, they are non-violent resistance, and you're going to make non-violent resistance illegal. This is what you're seeing in this country currently. Tighter and tighter laws on how you can protest and demonstrate, because you know, if you inconvenience somebody, then you can go to jail. Tighter and tighter laws on even having a policy of, well, we're not going to support these people financially. No, you can't do that. What choices do you end up leaving people? It blows my mind. It's and I just think it's a recipe for disaster, because I personally don't want to see violence. So we have to make, peaceful resistance possible, and the success of peaceful resistance possible. Otherwise, people will find another way. So, yeah. Anyway, I feel like I've been talking a long time. It's so early.
It's so early.
It's so early. Laura, you look very tired.
Yeah.
And now we have to start the day. It's
I have
terrible.
to go to my fucking job. That's all hope and pray I don't get fired from.
Yeah, please don't get fired. That would be very sad. Anything else we want to say about anything else?
Free Palestine?
Free Palestine.
Yep.
And
Free Palestine. No, Malky didn't say the thing.
That's right. Oh, Malky. No solidarity from Malky.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's a Rangers. No, I'm sorry. That's not good.
Also, I'd like to say, since screw it, this is no longer a
I'd like to say double Free Palestine.
I'd like to say how I got in Jonty's head with the chanting.
Oh, son of a bitch. This was so annoying.
So the chant was 1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is a terror state.
Yeah.
But I just in a bit of chit chat was saying it's funny because I keep thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war.
It fucked me up for the whole freaking protest. I could not, and genuinely, and you had these lovely people kind of walking throughout the march just shouting 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'd all go occupation no more, except some of us would go, I declare what? Yeah. It was very confusing and hard. Anyway, thanks so much for listening to this slightly chaotic short episode of Bare Christianity. We will be back, I think next week we're recording with somebody else, are we? Is that true?
Yes, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Wait,
so we've got...
After.
Okay. Well, soon we've got somebody from the Good Law Project where we can talk to them more about various laws about protest and that sort of stuff. So if you have any questions for them, we've also got the author of a book called Nice Churchy Patriarchy, which is going to be talking about feminism and its response to the evangelical church and just general kind of misogyny that expresses itself in nice ways by, otherwise nice people, and how we need to kind of recognize that in our churches. So that's also coming up. And we've got, hopefully, JL, who's going to be joining us today, but we got the times wrong, talking to us about AI. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. So if you have any questions about that, if you have any questions just generally, please get in touch. Email us at beerchristianity@yahoo.com or message us on Instagram. We look for Beer Christianity Podcast. We're there, and we're on X/Twitter. We're even on Facebook. Basically, get in touch. But I'd say we're most responsive on Instagram and email. So, yeah. Get in touch, ask questions, tell us things, tell us what you thought of stuff. Also, there's a newsletter that we do, or that I write occasionally, and I've written a number of them recently. So that's on Substack. So if you search for Substack and Beer Christianity, you'll find it. Beer Christianity, the newsletter. Subscribe to that and go and read some of the stuff because we've been talking a lot about Palestine, and there's a lot of links. Actually, there's more links on the Beer Christianity website. beerchristianity.co.uk. That's a lot of information. Laura has lost the will to live, and Malky has started just browsing Twitter. So I'm alone here, guys. I don't even. I was just a big empty. Anyway,
I think you're doing a great job, Jonty.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the affirmation. Yeah, my counselor called me a vampire yesterday, so I'm struggling. So anyway, have a lovely. Have a lovely day or evening, listener, whatever you're doing. And thanks for listening. Bye.
Love you, bye.